I'm Andrew Hudson, Community Harvest SRQ. I love that they encourage all these folks who think a lot to think in terms of a concrete area. So 15, 20 blocks, and you're flexible about it, but you identify a concrete place because that's how people really live. And I think not doing that is a source of a lot of disconnection. Well, I work in food systems, and a big thing in that is a lot of times you see the assets of farmers, you see the assets of government leaders, other leaders, and then when we talk about the people who receive food, we think of their deficits. And so this is asset-based, and I want to get my organization to think of the assets of the entire community. Yeah, it's a lot in terms of, I think we have an invisible separation between people whose assets we see and people whose deficits we see. And I think the assets of the people we tend to overlook are the most important assets, because people who are poorer tend to be able to form community better because they don't have as much to protect. So I think there are all these assets, especially in the Newtown area, that the whole city needs. And if we learn to, all of us, see assets of folks that we've often overlooked, I think it'll be part of the transformation that we are all looking for. It's a really inspiring gathering, and we're crossing a lot of boundaries that usually keep us in our own silos. I was just talking about that with Father Paul this morning, how he's seen it in a lot of other places, but since I'm just here all the time, I'm used to being stuck in my own little world surrounded by a lot of the same people. And so it's so refreshing that Sarasota Strong brought us together to cross those boundaries and get to know each other. I'd like to see food systems work be considered part of community organizing, because I was a farmer before I got into this kind of work, and I feel like the agricultural sector is usually not seen as part of community organizing. You know, it's just kind of a separate thing. The food comes from there. We don't really think of the people as part of the community. And I think that's a huge problem, and that's another asset area that we overlook. And I'm very passionate about no-till gardening, about learning to garden without tilling, without using oil from other countries. There's a lot of levels of violence that go into the way we normally produce food that I would like us to learn. There are other ways to do it. And they are somatic practices. You do them more with your body. If you use a machine, you don't use your body the same way. So I'd like to see the healing practices of no-till gardening be part of trauma-informed community developing, because then people are doing stuff with their bodies, they're healing, and they're producing food, and they're being brought together. It's just a whole bunch of win-win things. I love it. Yeah, there's a book called Food Not Lawns. Okay. Everybody should look up Food Not Lawns, because it started this whole movement of front yard gardening. It's really big in Portland, Oregon, where I'm from. You don't see it here very much, but you do see it here. And it's actually easier to do here because you can go year round. So yeah, no, I'm all about that. And I just want to emphasize, you don't need a tiller to garden, especially in Florida. So I'd love to see people like touching soil, and that's producing food, but it is also a healing thing. And I'd like to see that incorporated into these kind of circles. That's right. And actually, plants and pets can do a lot of the work for you. So you can actually have chickens do all the scratching that you need. And you know, like, it's legal to have chickens. Yeah. There was a group called Cluck that worked between like 2005 and 2012 to get chickens legalized in Sarasota. Really? So now anybody can have chickens in the city. I'm actually here representing two organizations. So Community Harvest SRQ, that's my day job. I'm the program director. I'm also founding an organization called Sabbath Gardening, which brings people together to see the land as sacred and use no-till gardening as a way to get in touch with that sacredness. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that we can have groups of people do gardening in like a spiritually significant way, and that people like the folks in Newtown will actually take the lead in that, because the hard part in gardening is actually not the gardening. The hard part is getting people to cooperate with each other. That's the hardest part, because we often get isolated in gardening in so many things. And the Black community is ahead of the curve in forming groups that work together. I mean, first of all, having poverty foisted on them means they have less to lose, and when you have less to lose, it's easier to cooperate. So there's an asset there that I think is historically, there are historic reasons for that asset of oppression, but it's an asset. Maybe we could just focus on that asset, and that's something that I'm hoping the Black community will actually take a lead on, is demonstrating urban gardening, and it's already happening. Orange Blossom is a fantastic urban garden. It's the best urban garden in Sarasota. So yeah, the leadership's already happening. So what I'm really trying to do is put my weight behind what's already happening, and I'm trying to support that. So I think that'll be my contribution. Is I'm a farmer, I have some cachet. I can say, look, this is great, and let's get it some resources. I am so glad Sarasota Strong brought us all together. It got us out of our silos, got us meeting people that we really should have met a long time ago. So yeah, Sarasota Strong's been great, and the Academy has been a fantastic host, so I'm a big fan there too.